All right, man. What can I do for you?
Um, I was asking because I got this house that's the loan balance is 650. They want 730. And I was trying to come up with like I would think automatically since, you know, low equity or the loan is about to be paid off, then it's gonna be a hybrid. But then I was like, let me calculate, the seller finance amount. And then it's only like 28,000. So I'm like, huh. Can't we realistically like just is he wanting to do a wrap? Can't you realistically like in the down payment pay off the loan and then create a whole different mortgage? Because that's what he wanted.
Ooh, that's good. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it needs to be set up right, but yeah, you could definitely do something like that. That's pretty up there for someone who's as new to wholesaling as you. I'm proud
Yeah,
of you. Good for you, dude.
yeah.
So tell
I
me this,
don't know.
what's the mortgage balance?
652.
Oh, 652,000?
Yeah.
Oh no, you can't do that.
Of course.
Because essentially we'd be giving them a $652,000 down payment.
Even
If
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 they
we're
got
if they're saying that they want us to pay off the mortgage at closing, then
no,
whatever
that was
mortgage,
just an idea.
yeah, we can't. Yeah, I mean, if the mortgage balance was like 40 grand and it was a $730,000 purchase price, yeah, we could do that all day long. But no, we can't give them a $650,000 down payment.
So I would just underwrite this as usual.
I would underwrite it. Sounds like it's going to be have to be a hybrid deal.
Yeah. Maybe I
So
was doing it wrong.
what's the mortgage balance again? 650.
652 and the PITI is 5,000. Hold on. It's 5,000. Seller finance amount. If I did it correct, let me do it again. It's the 730 minus 650 minus down payment, right?
Right. Wait, but is the PITI 5,000?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought you were trying to finish telling me. Okay, what's the interest rate?
6.5, 730 minus
All right. And then what's the down payment?
50,000.
You said 50?
Yeah,
Okay.
ideally, but
So then that would mean the seller financing is 30 grand.
yeah, 30 sure.
I mean, so they would walk away with 50 and then leave with another 30 over time. Or you can negotiate and just give them $60,000 now and they can just walk away and we can just subject to the mortgage.
When it comes to rap, once you creating a new, you can't do that because again, what did you say?
Who?
You said we can't do a rap or essentially a hybrid because we have to give them 600,000.
No, we can absolutely do a hybrid. What I'm thinking is that instead of a hybrid, because we're only seller financing 30 grand. So
Yeah,
okay, let's run it down. Let's see what's the rent. Let's finish running this deal down.
long term is 2,500, short term is 75.
Where's it at?
It's in San Antonio.
Okay. Realtor commission?
No,
Good for you. All right. Not there's anything wrong with realtor commission, just makes the deal cash flow better if there's no
yeah,
realtor commission. All right. So straight off the bat, on this side anyway, we're at a negative. Okay, so even if we did $150 a month, I mean this is barely.
oh,
It's
yeah,
not going to work. It's absolutely not going to work as a short term, as a long term rental. It's going to have to be a short term rental. So you can either, which would be ideal, would be we'll give them $50,000 at closing, and then we'll do no interest, no payments for a 1 year balloon, and then they can get their $30,000. So essentially, what that means is we give them the 50 grand like normal, but instead of them getting monthly payments of $150 a month to start chipping away at this $30,000, And what we offer them is no interest, no payments, meaning our buyer isn't going to make any payments to them at all for a year. And then after the year, they just get their 30 grand. They just get a check.
Mhm.
So you could pitch that. That'll make your cash on cash return and your monthly higher.
And that's not that bad. That look like 1,100 a month cash flow for the buyer. They did short term.
Yeah, that's not bad. That's not bad at all. Now let's look at it as a hybrid. Or, I'm sorry, not as a hybrid, a sub two. So if I put a $650,000 purchase price, I put the PITI at $5,000, and then we just give them, let's give them the max. Let's give them 65,000. Let's just see what it looks like. And then this is still 7,500. The long term doesn't really matter, but I can put it in anyway because it's so low. And then if I go to sub two, I mean, yeah, that's significantly better. Oh, no, I don't have the payment. Hold on. I didn't change the payment. Okay. So your entry fee percentage is higher, but there's no seller financing, no nothing. It's just a straight sub two that someone could refinance after a couple of years, hopefully get a lower interest rate, drop that payment down a little bit, and then get a higher cash on cash return. But if we look at that, 14,040, and then we look at the hybrid, which is 14,040, but it's a higher oh, that's because there's no interest, no payments. That's right. If I were to put in $150 payment, then it goes to the same, but now actually your best bet is this hybrid deal, no interest, no payments for a year. Tell them you could do it both ways. Say, look, I've got to cater to my investors. Otherwise, I'm just wasting our time. My investors need to be able to cash flow, and you guys obviously want to get a good price. So here's what I'm proposing. I have two options. You let me know which one you prefer, and I'll go that direction. We could either just straight subject to the mortgage for $650,000. That means my investor will service your monthly payment. You won't have to worry about that $5,000 anymore a month. And then on top of that, we'll give you $65,000 at closing. You just have to walk away. Once we're done closing, we're taking care of the mortgage payment. You don't have to worry about this property anymore. Or we can do a $730,000 purchase price. I'll give you $50,000 at closing. And then I'll give you no interest, no payments for a year. So in 12 months after closing, we'll hand you a check for the remaining $30,000 cash. And then you just walk away. And then we'll still subject to that mortgage.
Yeah. Because the only reason I was thinking about like a new payment and all that, because he was talking about everything else is negotiable, including down payment, interest rate, and we're willing to. Yeah, he just kept saying like,
you can do a wrap on this deal. You can absolutely do a wrap. The problem with the wrap is that their interest rate is already 6.5%. That's the problem. If their interest rate was 2.5%, even 3.5%, yeah, you could do a wrap all day long. But even if we did a wrap up to 8%, that's only a 1.5% increase. And again, that's not going to be on the whole. I mean, we wouldn't want that to be on the whole thing because that would make this payment go up significantly. So hold on a second, $650,000. And then if we did 8%, and then so just the principal and interest, not even the taxes and insurance monthly included, is already $4,769, which is damn near $5,000. What are the taxes and the insurance for this place?
Taxes 11,000. Insurance 3,000.
Wait, insurance is how much?
3,000.
Okay. So 3,000 divided by 12 is 250, and then 11,000 divided by 12 is not. Sorry, one extra zero. 900. So we would have to add an extra $1,100 to that, which would make this almost $5,900. So now, if we go back into this and go to 5,900, watch your cash on cash return. And then let's say we do the same thing for a sub 2. Watch your cash on cash return. So you can do a wrap, but it's not really gonna work because the owner can't go up a significant interest rate points above what it currently is because it's already kind of high at 6.5%. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I would tell him, look, we can do it this way or this way. If that doesn't work for you, then hey, because there's no way you're getting. First of all, you can't sell this deal to a homestead buyer. No one in the right mind is going to pay $5,000 a month when they could just go rent a property for half that.
Mm-hmm.
And then 2, this is only going to work for a short-term rental. You can't even get a long-term rental investor. So your buyer pool is already going to be somewhat limited.
Yeah, he said he's using that as an Airbnb.
I mean, that's great, but I mean, let him know, look, we can either do it this way or this way. It's going to be a subject to or a hybrid. We can't do the wrap on this one because if we're going to wrap it, we can do the wrap, but he needs to, I mean, the max he can go up is to like maybe 7%. You can't go any higher than that.
Okay. Is there any way you can send me this recording?
Yeah, I can send it to you tonight. I know this one's a bigger deal, so I will have this one processed first before the other ones I've done tonight. It'll be later tonight, but yeah, I'll send it to you tonight.
Damn.
Why you keep going after $720,000 properties, man?
Look, every other house is like 250, 300. It just like, I don't know, the more expensive properties are causing me more trouble.
Yeah, that's why I said 350,000 or less, man. It's almost like I've done this before and I'm telling you what not to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not a problem. It's just that people who can afford a $730,000 house, people who can afford to pay $5,000 a month, they know money. They're good with money. And not that we're trying to take advantage of people who don't know money, but people who do know money, they want to make their money work for them. And this is, if I was the owner of this house, I'd be asking you for the exact same thing. I'm not saying what he's doing is wrong. I'm just saying that you're going to come up against people who want a little bit more than you can give them more often with properties that are more expensive. That's all.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Like, how did he get himself in this position where like he's damn near done paying off the house, but he's only gonna walk away with like 80,000?
Well, why do you say he's done paying off the house? He's not done paying off the house.
Well, like
he still owes $650,000 on the house.
Oh, I'm looking at this all wrong.
I think you're looking at the seller finance amount as the mortgage amount. No, if he owed $30,000 on the house, this would be a much different deal. We can give him that $30,000 and pay the mortgage off at closing and then still give him $30,000 in his pocket. But that's not the case. He owes $650,000 still. So he doesn't have this house almost paid off. Quite the opposite. Especially if he's only selling it for $730,000. This thing damn near works as a sub 2.
Oh, okay. That's what I was getting wrong. Okay.
Like if he was selling this house for $800,000 instead of $730,000, you could give him the exact same amount of money on a sub 2 as you are going to give him on a hybrid. You can just give it to him up front.
And this is basically his best case scenario, because if somebody did get a conventional loan, he'll probably walk away with the same amount.
Exactly. Yeah, because he owes $650,000. So not even including here. You want to do the math? Let's do the math. Let me grab my calculator real quick. I'm good at math, but not that good. So let's see. If he sells his house for $730,000, he's going to pay 9.8% commission or closing costs. That's $71,000. He's only making $80,000. Now, let's go the other route. Let's say his real estate agent's only charging him 3%. And then let's say the other closing costs is 3%. So let's say he's only paying 6%. That's almost best case. Best case scenario is if the realtor's charging 1%. But that's still $43,800 because he's still paying the other closing costs. He's got to pay the seller closing costs. and realtor commission. So best case scenario, he's going to be paying $30,000, which is 4%, 1% to the real estate agent, and then 3% for everything else. So yeah, your deal, the hybrid with him getting 50 is the exact same thing he would get if he sold the property on market. The $65,000 that you're offering him on the subject to is more than he would walk away if he sold it traditionally. Because if he sold it traditionally, the only difference, the difference between 730 and 650 is 80 grand. Best case scenario, he's going to be paying $29,200 in closing costs. That's 4%. 1% to the real estate agent, and then 3% for title and escrow and everything else. So what's left over after 28,000, like $51,800. Well, your subject to deal, I said you can offer him 65. Hell, you can offer him 55 and he'd still be getting $3,000 more, which would be an absolute banger deal for you if you can get this thing at $50,000 down on a sub two.
Wait, so what I'm getting is there should be no reason on why I get a note from this guy.
If he's reasonable, yes. If he understands everything, yes. It should be absurd that you don't get a yes from this guy. Just present him both offers and break down the math like I just did. But here's the key. You don't want to assume. You want to ask. You want to verify. So when you first start the conversation with him, say, hey, I just want to talk to you a little bit about the situation you have with your real estate agent. What are they charging you? Just so we're on the same page. I'm not trying to get you out of that. I'm just curious because I'm working numbers in the back of my head. Use this. I'm doing a little bit of back of the napkin math. For some reason, people in his situation like the term back of the napkin math. I don't know what it is. So say, hey, I'm trying to do a little bit of back of the napkin math here. Just out of curiosity, what are you going to be paying in realtor commissions if you were to sell this on market? Is it 1%, 2%, 3%, 5%? What are they charging you? And then let him tell you. And then quickly do the math. Okay, they're charging him 2%. That's like $14,600. Okay, they're charging 3%. That's like $21,900. Whatever. Just do the math. And then walk him through that math. Say, okay, so just so I'm on the same page, including your realtor commission plus standard closing costs, you'd be paying about X%. Standard real estate commissions, not including realtor commissions, but just the closing costs, is about 3%. So whatever he says, the realtor's charging him, add 3% to that. That's what you're going to say. So if the realtor's charging him 2, you're going to say 5. And then you got to do the math. So have your calculator handy if need be. So you're going to say, hey, so here's the deal, Mr. Seller. If you were to sell this thing on market, your closing costs, including realtor commission, would be about, and then you'd give him the amount. Mm-hmm. And then you ask him, does that sound right to you? He's going to either verify or not, or say, no, it doesn't. And then if he says, no, it doesn't, you're going to say, well, which part? What am I missing? Always put it back on yourself. And then if he says, yeah, that makes sense to me, then say, okay, so then if you sold your house for $730,000, but you owe $650,000, that means out of the $80,000 that you could get, you would only be left with, and then you got to do the math. You got to subtract what his closing costs would be, including realtor commissions, minus 80 grand. And then whatever that number's left, that's what you have left with. Does that make sense so far?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So you're only going to be left with X amount of dollars. Now, you know for a fact that the most he's going to be left with based off of this conversation you and I are having is about 50 grand. He's going to have to pay a minimum of $30,000 in closing costs. There's no way around it. Unless his real estate agent's a friend of his or family member that's not charging him anything, which I highly doubt. So once you break down the math, then you say, okay, so with that being said, I have 2 options for you. And here's what you've done with that. You've established that you know what you're talking about and that both you guys are on the same page about the numbers. Math doesn't lie. There's no way to misinterpret math. 2 + 2 is 4. It is what it is. So once you've established that and you're like, okay, so with that in mind, here are my 2 offers for you. You can either walk away with $50,000 instead of whatever your math ended up being for the on-market example, or you can walk away with, $65,000 on the subject to route. But these are the only two offers that I can foresee our buyers taking. Which one of these do you like?
Yeah, because I'm definitely going to start with like 50,000 for sub 2 and then 50,000 for the hybrid and just wait a year.
No,
Either way,
do 50,000 for the hybrid because you already said that, and do 55,000 for the sub 2. Start at 55,000 for the sub 2 because you can go up to 65. You're still good.
yeah, I realized like don't give them the best offer like your max. You always want to leave room for negotiation if they do want to negotiate. Because sometimes I realize sometimes real estate don't even want to negotiate and they'll just take what you just gave them.
Exactly.
Yeah, I get it. Well, and we can't do a wrap because the interest is too high.
I mean, we can do a wrap, but he can only charge a half a point on the interest because the interest is already currently high.
Maybe half a point, like
half a percent. So right now,
it's still cash flow.
Well, right now his interest rate is 6.5% or 6.5 points. So he can only charge a half a point more as a wrap if he wants to wrap interest into that deal, which would make the interest rate 7%. And at 7%, his payment would be $43.24 plus the $1,100 for the taxes and insurance. That would be $5,500, $5,400 and some change, $5,425. So if I change this to $5,425, technically your deal still works. It's tight, but it still works. And then same thing for sub 2, $5,425. Technically still works. I mean, you're still cash flowing $9,000 a year. So like $75, $80. No, that's not right. What is that? Oh man, it can't be already a long day already. $9,000 divided by 12. Yeah, like $750 a month, which is not bad.
But trading that for about like 700,000 or 50,000, I wouldn't do that.
Oh, that's still a good deal. Would you pay $88,000 right now to get $758 to get $9,000 a year the rest of your life?
Yeah.
Because in 9 years, this pays for itself. That means everything on top of that is, I mean, just talking about your entry fee, not the whole purchase price.
Mm-hmm. So long term, after I was wondering this. So long term, let's say it's $100,000 house. They're paying $2,000 a month. Well, they rent it out for $2,000 a month. The mortgage payment is $1,000. After let's say it's a 5-year balloon, you refinance them out. And I know they got to pull out a loan for that refinance. Now, are they paying down that loan too?
Yeah.
Damn. Okay, so damn, that sucks. So doesn't the cash flow go down after that? Because, they're going to have different terms like interest now.
That's true. Yeah, the interest rate could be lower by the time they refinance. Plus, they will have paid the balance down. So they're like, for this example, their mortgage balance is $650,000. But if they refinance in 5 years, their mortgage balance isn't going to be $650,000 anymore. It's going to be closer to 600, maybe 580, maybe even 550. So then they're going to refinance. And if they have a lower interest rate, it could very well end up being lower than that. But the opposite of that is also true. What if the interest rates are up by the time they have to refinance? That means that this payment's going to go up. That's why you want to. That's why you want to have this padded as much as you can, because they're going to do the exact same thing I'm about to do. Right now, the payment's $5,000. Cool, everything's great. But what if the interest rate goes up by the time they have to refinance, and it adds another $500 to the payment? What does that look like? They have to plan for that. Now, granted, it's still $8,000 a year. It's not like it's losing money, but if we can make it to where, now obviously this is a hybrid, so we can't do anything right now because it's It's the mortgage payment. But if it were seller finance and we can negotiate a lower payment, now we have a higher split as far as the cash on cash return and cash flow. So then if they do refinance and the interest rates are bad and their payment goes up $500, well, because we started from a lower position to begin with, now they're still in a good spot. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I came to realize that, you know, most realtors don't even know what seller finance is. They be offering seller finance, but then your junk still got a mortgage. And
well, no. It's not necessarily, well, oh, you mean if they offer seller finance and then.
Yeah, in the description, and then we're talking, and then they're like, oh, yeah, that payment is too low because they still got a mortgage to pay off. I'm like, oh, okay. Now I got to underwrite it and ask for the loan balance. I don't know. It's just a little inconvenience. But I understand what you're trying to say. So long-term strategy, it just seems like a gamble. Why does anybody do it? Why don't they just go like short-term or like mid-term with guaranteed cash flow, and then they can just sell it? Or I don't know.
Well, some people do, but think about it. Let's say, for sake of argument, that we start here and the payment goes up $500 when they refinance, right? Like we were saying before.
Mhm.
This thing is still bringing in almost $10,000 a year. And then on top of that, if the market stays good and everything goes good, in 5 years, when they have to refinance this property, chances are they're going to be able to charge more money for the property because every year rentals go up. So if if the interest rate has gone up in 5 years, then chances are the monthly payment that this thing can generate has gone up. And even if it's gone up $100 a year in those same 5 years, now look at your cash on cash return with the extra money in there.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's a gamble, but it's not like a gamble. This thing's still bringing in $14,000 a year. What if you had 3 of these? You're bringing in $45,000 a year and you don't have to do anything. You don't have to, especially if you're paying for all this, it's all automated. So it's not, so it's, I mean, yeah, real estate is a gamble, but it's the least riskiest of the gambling entrepreneurship type of things that you can do, in my opinion. And the reason for that is because there are very clear and defined rules, guidelines, and trends for how to be successful in real estate. And if you follow them, unless something weird or catastrophic happens, you should be good like all the other millions of people that have made money doing real estate. It's when you start taking risks and doing dumb stuff that you could lose everything. As long as you don't do that and play it relatively by the rules, you should be okay.
Yeah, it's a smart risk. And you know, houses do appreciate. Why don't people just? Because I know Seattle like really expensive. But then like houses in 1 year go from 500,000 to like 700. Like it was like a crazy like increase. So I was just wondering, why don't everybody just buy that? You know,
Well,
maybe just pull out a loan, and you know, because I guess long term you're gonna make hella money because the Seattle market is crazy.
not everybody has the brain for that.
I just need to get some capital out of
All right. You keep going. You've learned a lot, dude. When I first talked to you, you didn't know a damn thing. And now you're bringing me advanced tips. You sound I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but you sound just like me as far as your wording when you're talking to these people or giving some of your responses. So as long as you keep going, you'll get that money and then you'll get those properties and then you build that legacy. That's what you're supposed to do.
Well, I'm gonna go break all this down to them. Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna get you a copy of this recording as soon as I can.
All right, Sean. Appreciate it.
All right. You let me know if you need anything else. I'll talk to you later.